leadership and change your club culture. Presented by our friend, past international president, Jane Erickson. Go ahead, Jane, it's all yours.
I have to unmute her. There you go.
That's actually funny. I was muted. It's kind of cool. I just want you to know, those of you who are on the phone, who ever met my late husband, he tried to do that often. It never worked for him. That was kind of cool. Way to go, Sarah. Well, it is so good to see so many of you tonight. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at all these happy faces, and Alan Yurgovich with all his little rubber duckies over there in his little square. So this is really super fun. I see many faces that I know full well have heard this message before. You've heard some of these stories before. So my challenge to you, if you've heard these before, to listen in a different way and pick something out of each one of my messages that you personally are going to take and use in your life, in your family, in your club, to help kids in your community. So that's my challenge. I'll impart some information and some, hopefully a little bit of excitement, and your job is to take what works for you. Deal? If you're all good with that, raise your hand. Go, yep. I see a couple of you without hands up. Does that mean, nope, not doing it? Or you just weren't paying attention? All right, we're good. We're good. All right. I'm going to tell you, first of all, when it comes to excitement in a club, the only way you're going to have excitement in a club and passion in a club, if you bring it, it doesn't happen accidentally. So when we talk about wanting to have clubs that are engaged and excited and relevant, that has to be planned in. That comes from you. Now I'm going to tell you, first of all, when Gus and I were so blessed to be able to travel all over, trustee and his officer, oftentimes when you go to an event, they want you to wear all your medals. And at one point I was asked to wear all mine. I said, I can't wear all of them, but I will wear some. So we're coming down the hallway in the hotel, and my medals are going chink, 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 all the way down the hallway. And here we are all dressed up, and we got into the elevator, and I looked over, and there stands a man that's kind of wedged into the corner, hanging onto those railings, you know, that are in the elevator sides. He's doing a little bit of weaving back and forth, and he's looking at my medals and trying to concentrate on those medals. And finally he said, well, look at all those medals. Where have you been? Huh, the county fair. And I started laughing, and I felt this fingers on my arm, which of course was my late husband, who was squeezing my arm and giving me that little look. You know, you can see the reflection in the elevator side, and I'm getting this little look that said, do not mess with the drunk man, let him go. And I thought, oh, come on, just let me do it a little bit. No. Well, drunk man didn't get the sign, apparently, because he kept weaving, and he came a little bit closer, and I thought, oh, personal space. And he said, oh, I got it. You were at the county fair. Look at those medals. What'd you win? And as the elevator doors opened, just in time, I looked at him and said, best in show. I'm like, yeah, that was a good one. Don't you agree? It's like, oh. Of course, my husband grabbed my arm, and out we went. And he said, you just had to mess with him, didn't you? It's like, yeah. I said, but you have to admit that was a good one, right? Best in show. So if we want our clubs, if we want our divisions, if we want our districts to be best in show, each one of us has to be best in show. You ever thought about that before? How many people in your family? How many of your family members would say, oh, absolutely. He's best in show in our family? How many would say, oh, she's best in show? There is absolutely no doubt about it. Best in show. How many of you look at yourselves every morning in the mirror and say, woohoo, look at her. Look at him. Best in show, baby. Well, guess what? That comes from us. You can't have a club best in show if you're not best in show. As Gus and I traveled all over, it became really apparent that there are really three things that become really important to each of us as we continue on our Kiwanis journeys. And if we are looking to really increase our clubs right now for our kids, and boy, I'll tell you what, I'm sitting right here in the Midwest, and I see the needs of our kids going way up as the numbers of our Kiwanians are going down. And that just cannot be. As a Kiwanian, as a mom, as a grandma, it's like, no, we've got to be bringing the number of our people helping our kids way back up. Those hands behind me have to be tripled. You have to have more hands helping. And the first way we need to do that with each one of us is to be passionate. Now, if you look at that big screen right here with all these faces on it, how many of these faces do they just scream passion when you look at them? Oh, very funny. Some of you just took your video, stopped your video. Very funny. Yeah, nice. Yeah, awesome. When we talk about passion, you got to be able to see that. You should see it in your eyes. Your eyes light up when you think about kids. Your eyes light up. You're glad to be alive. How many of you are glad to be alive on a daily basis? How many of you even think about it? Yep. Yay. Some of us just wake up in the morning and say, ugh, gotta do this again. Ugh. Every morning is an opportunity to get up and say, check this out. Think about all the things I can do today. Think about all the ways that I can improve the world, all the ways that I can help children to know that my kiddos are in a better place, that they feel loved, that they know there's somebody there who will read books to them, somebody who will make certain they have a lunch and once a day, something to eat. They have something to do, people to love them, passionate. Got to believe. How many of you believe in the vision of Kiwanis? Yep. Guess what? You probably wouldn't be on here if you didn't believe that. And what about the people who don't come on our Zoom calls, who don't always come to meetings? Our Kiwanians who say, you guys scare me. I mean, this isn't life or death being a Kiwanian. Well, it might be for some of our children. Might be. When we talk about passion, I love hanging around our service leadership program kiddos. They're the ones that are passionate and they're not afraid to share that passion. Think about every member of your club. Are they glad to be in your projects, glad to be at your meetings, glad to be counted as Kiwanians? And are you glad they are part of your Kiwanis experience? Kind of fun what I can see in some of your faces. It's like, all these things to think about. It's your challenge tonight when it comes to passion, to believe in ourselves and the cause of improving the world one child and one community at a time. What will you do in your club to share the passion? In some clubs, it's greeters. Other clubs, it's a matter of shaking everybody's hand when you first come in. Do you know the names of every member of your club? Do you wear name tags? Do you greet your speakers? Can your speakers even find you? Does your club look passionate? When your prospective members are coming to your club meetings, can they find you? Do you have Kiwanis signage there? Is there a big Kiwanis logo so even your speakers and your guests know where to go? We want to look passionate too. Now, when you come in, greeting people, smiling, being gracious, sharing what it is we do. That's how we start to share Kiwanis. And that's how we become passionate about helping kids. As one of my K kids said to me once, well, why would you not be passionate about helping kids? I don't get it. And I thought, huh. And I kind of stopped and she said, do you remember last week when I asked you what grade your kids were in? I said, yeah, I remember that. And I thought, here's a fourth grader. Every year a fourth grader asks me what grade my kids are in. And he said, well, I have one daughter who works for the public health department and teaches all the third graders nutrition classes in her community. Said, I have another one who's a vice principal of, or assistant principal of one of the largest schools in Omaha. Does that count? She said, yeah, but what grade are your kids in? I thought, okay, this is not working. I said, I don't have any kids in school here. The next week she came back and she said, my mom said you're very passionate and that you're crazy. And that if you don't have kids in school, she says you must be crazy to come and work with somebody else's kids. I thought, I love it. Crazy for helping kids, aren't we? How many of you can be described the same way? We're crazy for helping kids. And I thought, yep. If we want to be best in show on our clubs, each one of us has to show up with passion, being glad about being alive, being glad to have this opportunity called Kiwanis. Now, the second one is being grateful. Being grateful to be able to be part of this worldwide organization that cares enough about children and communities to work hard and work together. You know, that grateful part. Can't be hateful and grateful at the same time. Did you know that? It's not possible. Your mind won't do it. Do you spend most of your day being grateful or not? Thought about that. For the last week, I have had a Kiwanian friend from San Diego staying with me. What fun we've had. Her flights were delayed 4 times on the way in. And as I was sitting in that cell phone lot at 1:45 one morning, thinking, well, I'm grateful. Let's see, what can I be grateful for? That she's coming eventually. She's on that plane, I think. Hope she is. Grateful we can do all kinds of things when she gets here, and grateful it's not raining. I thought, okay, how many times do you make a list what you're grateful for? And how many times is Kiwanis on that list? Show of hands, how many work directly with children in service leadership programs? Just raise your hand, or you can do the little electronic hand. Yep. So if you think about all the students that you have helped over the years, how have you made a difference in their lives? Have you shown them what true passion looks like in life and what true passion looks like for helping others? And have you shown them what happens when you're grateful to have this opportunity? It's pretty cool when you actually meet some of those students that you helped groom all the way along. I walked in to have a medical procedure done about a month ago. And this young woman said, Mrs. Erickson. And I looked up and thought, wow, she looks familiar. And she said, may I call you Jane? And I looked at her and I said, are you Kelsey? And she said, I am. And I was always taught to call you Mrs. Erickson. But now that I'm the floor nurse and I'm in charge of your procedure today, may I call you Jane? And I said, were you the first president in my K Kids Club 24 years ago? And she said, I was. And I thought, oh, yay. I thought, you know what? And I'm in good hands. I thought, wow, talk about being passionate. talk about being grateful. And she said, you know, I learned a lot as a K kid. I use those skills now. I'm a floor nurse and I'm a charge nurse. And I still use my K kid skills. And I thought, how cool is that? And I thought, how long have I been there that now I have a 34-year-old nurse taking care of me and I'm still in that school. Ah! And I'm grateful every day that I get to do that. Being passionate, being grateful, working with my K kids. And I know you've all heard this story probably several times about the little one that I asked why she wanted to be a K kid. I asked the whole group, was actually in Michigan, and asked the whole group of K kids why they like to help others. This beautiful little child said, because it gives me a warm feeling inside. Oh, wow. That's called gratitude. When you walk into your Kiwanis meetings or your Kiwanis projects, are you grateful? Are you grateful when you walk out? And not just because you can escape? We want to make those opportunities so fabulous that gratitude goes everywhere that we go. When I was president, I was invited to go to Tanzania on a UNICEF trip. And I got to meet the babies who had been vaccinated for maternal neonatal tetanus, for tetanus. I can tell you what an incredible experience that was and how passionate those mothers were. And to learn very quickly that going through the vaccination clinics, that the moms in Tanzania love their babies just like we love our babies here in the United States. And I was going to say Pennsylvania, but I see people from all over on this deck today. And I was so grateful to be part of that. And to see these beautiful babies. Now, I don't speak Swahili, so I had no idea what they were saying, but the nurse spoke pretty decent English, and or the medical person that was there. And oh my goodness, that baby screamed so loud and the mother just shook. And I wrapped my arm around her and wiped her tears and wiped baby's tears. And he reached up and put his hands on the side of my hair, and mom went, oh, and the nurse said, oh my goodness, that's a sign of endearment for little ones in Tanzania to touch an elder. That's a sign of endearment. And she said, and baby has never seen blonde hair before. I laughed and thought baby still hasn't. That's okay. But I was filled with such gratitude to be able to be there and watch that. Well, I tell you, then it was time for me to move on to one of the schools. So I was actually running up the little gravel path to the school, and I heard someone running after me, and it turned out to be that mother and her baby. And she had the baby swaddled against her, and she came up and she kept patting the Kiwanis logo on my shirt, on my t-shirt. And she kept saying, Zawadi, Zawadi. And I thought, oh, and then she would pat her baby. And I thought, you know what? I don't know what she's saying. Well, the nurse finally came huffing and puffing up the path. And she said, oh my goodness, I just told mom that Kiwanis and UNICEF are responsible for the vaccination that's keeping her baby alive. She's saying Zawadi. She's saying gift. Thank you for the gift of her child because of Kiwanis and UNICEF. And I can tell you, I was filled with that warm feeling inside that little K kid talked about. I thought I would explode. I was so filled with gratitude. And that nurse took a hold of my hand and cried and said, please thank all your Kiwanis friends who gave to this vaccination project. And let them know that this baby, and she held this baby, she said, is their baby because they helped keep this baby alive. I thought, oh, how can you possibly not share that with the world? I mean, each one of us need to be sharing these opportunities with other people, not just keeping it to ourselves. We need to share that passion for helping others and for helping communities. And that ability to be grateful to have that opportunity. You know, as volunteers, every one of us on this call and every Kiwanian help weave the very fiber of our communities. And today, in today's world, we need that more than ever. A couple months ago, right at the end of our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, one of the 6th grade K kids said, "Mrs. E, I got to tell you something." And I said, "And what is that?" He said, "You adults have screwed this world up majorly." And I sat there and he said, "Well, that word might not be appropriate for a K kid." And I said, I said, "Do you want to reframe it like we've practiced?" And he said, "Yep, you old people have totally messed this up." And I thought, okay. And one of the teachers laughed and I thought, okay, well, yeah, not much of an improvement. And I thought, this is how many times I have heard this in the last 24 years, a 6th grader or a K kid at least saying, what would life look like if we had a K kid running the world? One day I actually had that conversation with my group of 60 K kids. What would the world look like if K kids were running it? One of them said, well, we wouldn't have anybody sleeping through the Pledge of Allegiance. We would say the K kids motto, and we do that excitingly, and we clap at the end when we're finished because we're good at it. I think we'd be having our kindness programs with more adults because, well, honestly, some of our adults aren't very kind. And I thought, wow. I thought, I'd vote for you. The best part of that is knowing that those K kids are going to grow up and take those values, hopefully take them with them. And I kept thinking, you know what? I hope I'm around long enough to see you run for some of these higher offices because I'm going to vote for you. But think about that. Our kiddos know passion, gratitude. And the last one is family. How many of you feel that Kiwanis is family? Once you volunteer with people, you see them in a totally different light, don't you? I remember when I first started 30 some years ago as a Kiwanian, I had been working on an insurance claim. I worked at a hospital and I was working through our wellness department on an insurance claim for a work comp issue, working with a lawyer, an insurance company, and I was having a tough time. I met that guy over a table on my first day of Kiwanis. We settled that claim within a couple days. There's something just very special about meeting people in a different way. When you meet people as you're making sack lunches for flood victims, shouldn't say victims, for people who have been in a flood, who have nothing. When we had our big floods, we made sack lunches and took them down and served people who were cleaning out their homes who had nothing left. You meet people in a very different light when you do that. A club in that tiny little community said, why are you willing to come and help us? We had people from 2 different states, from 16 different clubs. I said, because we're family. Isn't that something? Because we're family. I look around at this screen tonight and I think my life is so much more blessed because I know many of you on the screen. And tonight I can know you in a different way, even if I've never met you before. So how powerful is that? To be passionate, be grateful, and to be family. You know, you meet new friends, you see people in different ways. You meet people that become your family. Some of us meet people that literally become our family. For those of you who don't know, I met my late husband in Kiwanis some 30 years ago. wow, he changed my life for the best. And woo, I met him going up in an elevator, and we just continued to go up for almost 25 years. We're married almost 25 years. Fabulous. Years ago, I was sitting at a meeting actually in Indianapolis. It was a big meeting with all the foundation board and with the KI board and all the governors. And there was a gentleman there from Poland who spoke very little English, and he kept his little dictionary over here, and he would look at it and he'd look up the words. And at one point I said to him, so I guessed his name, it was a Jasick, Jacek, and he looked up and he said, yeah. And he looked at my name tag and said, Yane? And I said, yeah. And I thought, oh, brother, I'm from Nebraska. Yeah. I thought, okay, that'll work. So we started talking, and I said, you look sad, as we were talking about membership. And he said, oh, yeah, we are 5 clubs. We are family. We are 10 clubs. We are family. We are 15 clubs. Family. 25 clubs. No family. And I said, you're no longer family with 25 clubs? No family. I said, well, that's sad. We have over 200 clubs and we're all family. And he said, yeah. I said, yeah. But I got to stop talking like this. They're going to think I'm from northern Nebraska. So we chatted back and forth off and on for 3 days. He took out that big old dictionary. He kept looking every time I'd see him in the hall. Jacek. He'd say, oh, trusty Yane. He'd ask me some more questions. And at the end of the week, we had a big banquet. And so on Saturday night, we were sitting there, and my husband was sitting next to me, and some of the other trustees were sitting at the table. And over comes Jacek, the representative from the Poland district at that time. And he said, I borrowed trustee Yane 15 minutes. And my husband said, oh, yeah, just take her. And I thought, okay. So we chatted back and forth, and he gave me a wonderful little present, and we did some other things about how to create groups, clubs that become like families. He came back to the table, and I said, my husband said, so Jacek, did you get it all taken care of? And he said, oh, yeah. Trustee Yane and Jacek, we make family. Oh. No. We made Kiwanis family. Oh, well, no. And he just grinned. It's like, you're done. Go away. I looked at my husband and I said, you just put that drink right through your nose, choking, didn't you? And he's like, I said, yeah, serves you right. Don't give me away so easy. As we walked back to our room, my husband said, do you think he had any idea what he said? I said, I don't know. Doesn't matter. A couple months later, with the international convention, and we are actually going up the stairway from this big, huge open room. And I heard this voice, trustee Yane. I thought, and I looked over and looked down, and there he stood in the middle of all these people, in the middle of the exhibit hall, Kiwanis International Convention. He yells, trustee Yane, do you still wish to make family with Jacek? I said, he knows. Just go on. Just go. But I tell you what, I've never forgotten that. How many of you wish to make family with your Kiwanis clubs? Well, if you want to do that, you have to set out to do that. It has to be purposeful. Somebody asked me the other day, do you have to like the people in your Kiwanis club? What do you mean, do you have to like the people in your Kiwanis club? What if you don't like them? Well, find something you do like. He said, well, what if I don't like him at all? I said, well, then why don't you sit at a different table? They probably don't like you either. What kind of a question is that? I said, does he do good things for your club? Yeah. Then what's not to like? I don't know. Just don't like him. It's like, And I thought, I said, so if I went to him and asked him if he liked you, and he goes, yeah, don't do that. And I thought, I said, you work it out. I said, because this is not about whether you like him or not. This is about how you can work together to help the children of your community, right? So when we think about all this, look at the opportunities that we have every single day to make a difference. Each one of us are going to have that responsibility in our own clubs. We can't wait for anybody else to do it. We have to be the ones that are going to step up. As governor, one of my lieutenant governors came to me and said, I know you said our club meetings have to be fun, but I'm not a fun person. I said, I've noticed that. She said, I'm not funny. Yeah, I've noticed that. She said, I don't laugh easily. Find somebody. And actually, take that back. I was lieutenant governor. She was my club president. I take that back. I said, find somebody in your club who can do an inspirational, maybe funny moment to start with, or something funny that's appropriate to kind of stir up the club. And she said, well, I have this guy that I know that comes into my office that would probably be good at it, but he's not a Kiwanian. It's like, well, he could be if you asked him, gave him a purpose, give him a job. Well, guess what? The next time I saw her, I said, you know what? I'm noticing all these new members coming in your club. What's happening? And she said, we're having fun. I said, are you having fun? Yes. I said, are your other members having fun? Oh, yes, we're having a lot of fun. Never changed her facial expression at all. So I went to one of their meetings and I thought, oh my gosh, this guy's hilarious. Their meetings were so fun. People started coming and people started asking others to come. So they could start by listening to this guy. And as he said to me, I finally feel part of this community. She asked me to join this club. I have a reason for being here. He said, and it is a challenge to see if I can make people laugh. And I always keep it appropriate. I said, good. You want to make sure they're appropriate. So how are you going to do that in your club? Lieutenant governors, how are you going to support your presidents to do that? Those of you who, I see a few of you on here that perhaps have already been governor, been lieutenant governor, how will we support the governors and governors-elect on this call? How will we support the governors and governors-elect in our own districts? For the governors that I see, how are you going to support your lieutenant governors? How do we support each other? It starts with us. Each one of us has to be passionate about being alive and having this opportunity. We need to be grateful to have this opportunity. And we need to be family. And I can tell you what, I will always be eternally grateful when Gus Erickson went to the big inner club in the sky. In other words, when he passed away 2 years ago, I will always be eternally grateful for the Kiwanians who are my family, who supported me every step of the way, who called me every day, who texted me every day, who sent me Bible verses, who sent me stories that sometimes were hilarious. Sometimes they were funny, not appropriate, but they were funny. Who sent me flowers, sent me the dumbest cards I have ever, I mean, cards I look at and I couldn't quit laughing, thinking, what? What? Why are you sending me a card like this? I called one of them, called her and said, why did you send this card? She said, did it make you laugh? Yes, I'm still laughing. Good, that's what it's for. Gotta run, bye. I got. Be passionate, be grateful, and be family. It's our responsibilities, right? If you have something near you to write on, grab a pen or a pencil or start typing on your computer on another screen. What 3 things are you going to do to make a difference in your life that will make a difference in your family, in Kiwanis, and to help kids? What are 3 things you're going to do to increase your passion, 3 things you're going to do to increase your gratitude, and 3 things you're going to do for your family. Got them all written down? Because Mike's giving you a gift tonight to be able to think about these things. We want to make sure you open that gift and use it and give that gift to others. Because how incredible a gift that is of Kiwanis. A gift of helping kids, a gift of helping community, and a gift by inviting others to be part of our community. Sometimes we look internal and think, yeah, it's somebody else's job, not mine. It's ours. It's ours. It's easy when you think about it. I walked out my driveway 3 days ago to go for a walk, and I looked at this woman walking down the street and I said, hey, what are you doing in my neighborhood? She said, what are you doing in mine? She was a social worker that I worked with during the floods to help kiddos in one of the less fortunate schools. I said, where do you live? She's pointing, and I said, you've got to be kidding me. She lives on my same block. I didn't know that. I said, you know what? I miss you. I miss not working with you. You need to be a Kiwanian. She said, you know what? I'd like that. I now work from home and I teach college. I'd like that. Guess what? I went for a walk and have a new Kiwanian. Woo! Each one of us can do the same thing. Now, the 3 things: passion, gratitude, family. Tonight, when you fall asleep, think about 3 people that you are grateful for in your life who've been passionate enough to lift you up, to applaud you, to guide you, to help you when you needed it. And tomorrow morning, you wake up and think of 3 people that you are going to help. And you do it before you do anything else. Deal? All right. Oh my goodness. Mike, I'm going to give this back to you. I don't know if you want to open it up for questions or if you have a whole thing you want to do now. You tell me what you need, and I'm willing to help you any way you want. Or give it back to Sarah. Thank you for letting me play tonight, by the way. This has been amazing. I've loved seeing all your faces. Yeah. I'm the only one who is not muted.
No, I am now too.
You want to open it up, Mike, or?
Yeah, Jane, thank you very much. First of all, before we open up into questions, I didn't really have anything prepared to say tonight other than it's fantastic to see so many people taking a little bit of time out of their night to join us here and listen to the great things that you have to say. So if anybody has any questions, please raise your hand and we can call on you and you can ask your questions. I believe if you raise the hand in Zoom, it will bring you to the main page so that we can see you.
Sorry, Mike, I must have been a conversation stopper.
You must have done an excellent job. They didn't have any questions.
Well, remember, some of you have heard this. I see some of your faces. You have heard these same 3 mentioned many, many, many times. So big challenge to actually do something with it.
If you don't want to ask a question, you can put it in the chat and we can read it from there too.
There's a raised hand.
Okay, there's Janet and James. What's up?
I just want to say, Jane, I had the opportunity to meet you in Florida years ago, and you are still just so vibrant and just so
Passionate.
And I remember going back to, you invited all of us Kiwanians, you made us feel like family in your room, in your hotel room. You had a nice suite, and
Thank you for clarifying that I did have.
it was, her Kiwanian husband was there too. But you opened your hearts to all of us and made us feel like true Kiwanians. I was a new Kiwanian at that point. So I was just amazed at your warmth and what your excitement, and this is what Kiwanis needs so much is, we need your kind of vision and your kind of, and Sarah was great, Mike is great. But I think females sometimes, we need that. And so thank you so much. And how do you, I think you gave us some ideas on how to keep on going, but it is a struggle. And I think you kind of helped me to see where I needed to improve myself again. I think we need that every so often as a reminder. So
We
thank you so
do.
much.
Well, thank you. And thank you for saying that. And you know what? A lot of this is hanging around, chatting with other positive people too, because there are times you just look at it and think, never going to be able to get this done. I just can't do this. I have a rock. Sounds kind of stupid, but I have a rock that says, actually, you can. And I got it with the wind chimes that came as a gift that I bought myself after my mother died. And this rock says, actually, you can. And that sounds like my mother when I'd say, I can't do that. Well, actually, you can. Then my dad would say, and you will, and you are, so keep moving. And I think that's important that we just keep thinking that, yes, we can, because our kids are counting on us. So thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up with their hand up is Steve Harmonis.
Thank you. I just had to find the unmute button. Thank you, Jane. It was a pleasure listening to you tonight. Your remarks about meeting those former students that have gone on to success reminds me of my own self. I was a Key Club advisor for 32 years. I've been a Kiwanian since 1982. And it's remarkable the number of kids that have been in my class and in my Key Club that have gone on to be successful. One's my doctor, one's my dentist, one's my lawyer, because I know I can trust those people.
Wow.
The one thing that I don't have an answer to is, how do I follow up? Because those people are scattered everywhere across the country, and they were good Key Club members, but they aren't necessarily Kiwanians. What can we do to draw them back into the K family and try to make them solid members the way they were when they were in high school?
Well, there are some with the Key Club Alumni Association. There are some with Circle K Alumni Associations. I've seen Facebook posts that have invited Key Club alum to come back. There have been other districts that have contacted their parents, if they remembered who some of them were, contacted the school, excuse me, and said, through an alumni program, we'd love to know what you're doing. Had certain names. And I think it's just a matter of awareness. Now, there are probably a million other ideas on here from people who actually are working in the alumni groups. Anybody else have really splendid ideas for that?
Jane, one thing I've found in opening new clubs or trying to boost existing clubs is, believe it or not, a lot of Key Clubbers put that in their resume on LinkedIn. So I would advise anyone to go into LinkedIn and put the name of your city or town and Key Club and see if somebody pops up.
Oh, good idea. And for those of you on here that don't know how to do that, ask Brad Boyd, he'll do it. There's probably a high school kid in your Key Club right now that show you how to do it. Or a K kid. They often show me how to do stuff on my phone. Yeah. Thank you for that, Steve. Appreciate it.
And next we have Steve Nagel.
Hi, Jane.
Hi, Steve Nagel.
I'm here to make sure we have a 2 Steve minimum at every Kiwanis meeting. And actually, thank you for your message. And we have several of our New Jersey Kiwanians here with you today, and
Really?
several are hearing and seeing you for the first time, which I think is awesome.
Oh,
The question I have for you is, how do we collectively, the people that are here today, take your message and bring it to the next level? we have, I'm making up a number, 75 people here today that are in this meeting, but how do we make that 750 or 1,500?
Mhm.
How can we be the catalyst to bring forth what I call Jane's gratitude? And with that, I will mute myself.
Oh, gosh, Steve Nagel, I've wanted a mute button for you for years. You know, I love you.
Yeah, Gus told me.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
here's the key, each one of us, and I love the fact that you said that, each one of us has to be that catalyst for positive change. Every one of us has to take this back to our clubs and instill that passion, the gratitude, and that whole family sense. We take that back to our clubs and just keep doing it. Take it to the division, bring it up at district events, just keep telling the story, and then tell it outside and invite others to come in with us. That's the only way we're going to do it. We can't rely on someone else. And actually, it has to be Steve Nagel's passion and Steve Nagel's gratitude and Steve Nagel's family that pull it together. And the same with Mike Coolball. The same thing with Carolyn Dwyer. I mean, no matter who's on here, we have to own that. So it's my passion. I own it. It's my gratitude and my sense of wanting to increase this family. Does that make sense, Steve?
Absolutely. And thank you, Jen.
Is that where you were going? I mean, did I understand your question?
Yes, you did a wonderful job answering as always.
Well, and I love the catalyst because you know what? We each can be a catalyst for that positive change. And that's the only way it's going to work. Too many times we have a membership chair in each club and that's their responsibility. Or a membership committee of one in a district. And it's his job or her job. And most time we can't find them.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Oh, Kathy Szymanski has her hand up.
Hey, Jane. Thank
Hi,
you. First
Kathy.
of all, nice to see you.
Thank you for the invite.
A tough question, I feel, but it has to be asked. In my Kiwanis Club, there's probably 2 or 3 of us that are very passionate about Kiwanis. The rest of the people, and 2 of us are on this call now, the rest of the people are just grumpy. They don't get it. They work by committee structure and da. How do we go about changing this culture? 3 of us have really, and you know how passionate I am, and we've really tried, but we're just getting nowhere. Where would you recommend we start on changing the culture of our club?
It starts at the top. It starts with committee chairs, starts with your club president, with your president-elect, with the board. That buy-in has to be there. And we all still realize that we're going to have the drop-bys, the drop-ins. They come for lunch. They're out. Being passionate about Kiwanis means that Kiwanis is someone you are, not something you do. And we just continue to talk about that. Continue to put little inspirational pieces or educational pieces at each meeting, and realizing that there are times and are people who just aren't going to get it. Key is to invite other people like you to join. So get more excited about it. I love the clubs that repeat our motto at each meeting and talk about what that means. That talk about the objects of Kiwanis and have a little education session, who have a K-Kid group come and visit and tell them why they do what they do. It's amazing what people will catch from a kid. Kids are contagious. Actually, every one of us is contagious. Unfortunately, in some clubs, it's those that don't get it that are the ones that are contagious. So spread the good stuff. Sorry, those messages are flipping up so fast down here. I'm missing them. So.
Yeah, I didn't notice any questions in the chat. Did you say?
Okay.
It's just comments. There's no questions.
Okay.
Yeah, no comment. No questions. I mean,
Okay, one last shot. Any other questions, anybody? Okay, before we let everybody go, I'd be remiss if I didn't make this comment to the Pennsylvania Kiwanians on this call tonight. Our district convention registration is closing shortly. Hotel reservations are closing shortly. So please, if you plan on going to a convention, or if you forgot to register for the hotel, get that done the minute you get off of this call. Go on to pakiwanis.org and you'll see the link for our registration. You'll also see it in the chat where Sarah just put it. So thank you, everybody. Jane, thank you very much for your
Thank
great
you,
words
Bob.
once again, and good night.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Night, everyone.
Thank
Jane.
you.
Thank you, Pennsylvania. Appreciate the invite.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good
Do
night.
good
Hey,
things.
Pennsylvania, see you in Scranton.
All right, Kathy.
Yay.
Do good things. Bye.
If I can get
Bye.
there.
Just don't fly with Katrina. You'll be fine.
True, true, very true.
Bye, Sarah. Bye, Sarah.
Hi, Steve.
Off to my next meeting.